Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
This weekend is going to be the newest Superman movie, directed by James Gunn, simply titled Superman. Uh, and hopefully, we get a review of it sometime in the near future. We have a lot going on the next couple weeks. Our kid is going to be celebrating her first birthday, so that's going to be a bit of a thing to do. So we're going to do our best. But for now, we're going to be taking a look at a couple of other Superman movies from Warner Brothers. This first one here being Superman the movie from 1978.
Yep, the OG, I guess.
Well, not quite. Now, Christopher Reeve may be one of the most famous and beloved Superman actors, but he wasn't the first. One of the more prominent Superman actors before him was George Reeves, no relation, who played Superman on the 1950s TV show and died under mysterious circumstances. But which started the rumor of the Superman curse, which extended to Christopher Reeve as well as one of the child actors for Superman in this movie, as well as Brandon Routh, them suffering some sort of career problems after being Superman, which I don't think I believe in that, but yeah, what do you know?
Yeah, I don't. I certainly do not know.
Anyways, so this movie, like I said, stars the, the beloved Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent and Superman. And just to give the general overview, because why not? On the planet Krypton, scientist Jor-El discovers that the planet is about to be destroyed, so he sends his only son to Earth to save him and to help the planet. And Superman is basically, he makes his debut in this movie, and he goes around saving people. It's a pretty simple story, but it works fine enough. Playing his father is Marlon Brando, a notoriously difficult actor at the time. Brando didn't bother memorizing his lines. He just had the lines on Baby Kal-El, and from my understanding, he really didn't care too much for this movie, but he still made sure he got paid regardless. Which, why not? Plus, even though he probably didn't care much for this movie, he still delivers a wonderful performance, proving that Marlon Brando was one of the greatest actors of all time.
Yeah, sure.
Playing Superman's archenemy Lex Luthor is the late Gene Hackman. Bit of a different Lex Luthor from what you would see in the comics today, but this was based on the Silver Age, so that's to be expected. The late Ned Beatty plays Otis, Lex Luthor's bumbling henchman. He's kind of an idiot. He's kind of stupid, but he's kind of fun.
Yeah, he's the goofy henchman.
I should have said the late Marlon Brando and Christopher Reeve as well, as those two gentlemen have unfortunately passed on since this movie came out. Most of this cast has, in fact, such as the late Jackie Cooper, who played Perry White, Superman's boss at the Daily Planet. He doesn't have much of a role in this movie, but you get the sense that he's a gruff but well-meaning newspaper editor who's willing to do anything to expose the truth and tell a good story.
Yeah.
The late Margot Kidder plays Lois Lane, Superman's love interest, who, well, following sort of the same mindset as Perry, really, except she can't spell too good.
No, yeah.
We even get a look at some of the villains for the next movie, them being Terrence Stamp's General Zod, Jack O'Halloran's Non, and Sarah Douglas's Ursa, who are shown being exiled to the Phantom Zone in this movie, but we don't really get too much of them until the next movie, which we're not going to be taking a look at, but to be honest, I feel like that one was better than this first one.
Yeah. Um, I think you showed me that one.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway, so let's get into your general thoughts about this movie. Like I said, it's a pretty simple story. It's doing the best to show Superman doing his best to really be an example to the world and just being a guy trying to do his best to really help people. The death of his adopted father, Pa Kent, from a heart attack, really made him realize that he can't. That even with all of his powers, he can't save everyone, but he sure is going to try.
Yeah, he definitely is.
So, yeah, what are your general thoughts on this movie?
Well, to be fair, I'm not the biggest Superman fan. I've never really watched the movies, and yeah, they don't really appeal to me. And I do think this one is rather slow, and if I'm going to be honest, I think it's a little on the boring side.
I kind of agree with you. Like, I hate to be that guy to crap on a classic movie like this, but I feel like it's a little bit overrated. I still enjoy it. I still do. It's just I don't think this is the end all be all of Superman movies that a lot of people on the internet seem to think it is. So let's go into some of these problems first. You said that it's slow and a bit boring. Yeah, I kind of agree. This movie is almost 2.5 hours long, and there's a lot of long stretches where not a whole lot's going on. You have a lot of people just talking about what they're going to do with Superman, how they're going to take care of him, how, as in kill him, and Superman just trying to fit in, which can be interesting at times, but it does get a little dry, and it takes us over 20 minutes to get off of Krypton, which the next movie we're going to be talking about, Man of Steel, is also kind of guilty of it, but at least they kept things going with that one. There's a lot more going on.
Yeah, yeah, I think this one does. Maybe, I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm not a fan of Superman. Maybe if I was, I would view it differently. But yeah, I do think it's slow.
Now, I'm not too. I am a bit more forgiving than you are, I think, because this movie does. It's taking after the comics of the time, the Silver Age, which can be a bit silly, a bit goofy, maybe a bit slow in plotting at times, but well, that just means it's accurate to the source. There's some other things I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, I don't really I don't quite get behind Lex's plan. Like, he's trying to use these missiles to cause to use the San Andreas Fault in California to sink most of the state into the sea so that the property that he owns will become a lot more valuable. Okay, sure. Why though? Like, yeah, I get he wants to make more money, but like, this doesn't really interest me too much.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, doesn't really interest you.
Like, the plan is, I guess. I mean, the one thing holding it up is Gene Hackman's performance. He was great in this. He's just he's the right amount of dislikable you would want in a Lex Luthor, but he's not hateable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Also, the ending to this movie is kind of weak. So you're telling me that Superman can't fly fast enough to take care of both of these missiles, one going towards Jersey and the other one going towards California, but later on he's going to be fast enough to spin around the world several dozen, 100 times and turn back time.
Yeah, he can all of a sudden fly fast enough to reverse time, but he couldn't fly fast enough to stop the two bombs. I don't know.
I don't know either. But every negative thing I have to say about this movie gets overshadowed by the incredible Christopher Reeve as Superman. To me, he was possibly the perfect Superman actor. the way he transitions between Superman and Clark Kent and makes them feel like two different characters, it's incredible. And he had this incredible earnestness as both characters that's distinct to both of these characters. You get a real sense that he really was treating this one character as two separate ones, and it's great.
Yeah, you're right. Christopher Reeves is probably, one of the best things about this movie.
To me, he's up there with J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, Jackie Earle Haley as Rorschach, Ben Affleck as Batman, Matt Smith as John Constantine. Just these incredibly well cast comic book characters that may or may not be surpassed. I didn't mind Brandon Routh as Superman. I didn't really watch any of Dean Cain. Love Henry Cavill as Superman, and I'm really looking forward to David Cornsweet as Superman in James Gunn's movie. And you have the other TV Supermans like Tom Welling on Smallville and Tyler Hoechlin on Supergirl and Superman and Lois, which are also wonderful. But yeah, Reeve really had that charm that all these others just didn't have, and that's not a knock against them at all. It's just he did it better.
Yeah, he did a very good job.
And I really like how he and Margot Kidder's Lois Lane have, a good amount of chemistry. It's great to see them together, and I like watching them work off of each other. Whether he's Clark Kent or Superman, it's a joy to watch.
Yeah, you're right. No matter if Reeves is being Clark or Superman, whenever he's with Lois, there is a lot of good chemistry, and it's fun to see.
I wish we got a bit more of him with Jimmy. That would have been nice. But to be fair, it is a bit better than what Zack Snyder did with Jimmy, seeing how his Jimmy got shot in the face.
Wow.
Oh well. Anyways, I shouldn't say that. I actually really like Batman v Superman.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, regardless. It's okay. You're allowed to criticize things that you like. It was actually Marlon Brando's idea to have the Superman logo be the family crest of the House of L.
Oh, yeah.
This would later be adapted by the comics and in Man of Steel.
Oh, pretty good idea then.
The creators of Superman, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, they approved of this movie, so that's good.
Yes, that is good.
So there was a 3-hour-long extended cut of this movie, which put in all of Richard Donner's deleted scenes. This was for a TV broadcast, but Richard Donner didn't really care for it. He just saw it as a money grab, which, to be fair, probably it was one.
Yeah, could have been.
Christopher Reeve was cast because he was a complete unknown. The idea was to have a completely fresh face, so they wouldn't see the star, but the character, which, yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good idea, and I feel like a lot of Superman castings in the decades since have followed this line of thought too.
Yeah, that is a good idea, because then, yeah, people aren't seeing, for example, let's say if Nicolas Cage was Superman, which, you would just see Nicolas Cage, you wouldn't see Superman. So yeah, getting an unknown actor to do this is a pretty good thing.
It's funny you mentioned that because Nicolas Cage was cast as Superman at one point.
I know.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I was doing a thing.
Well, see, I thought you just picked a name out of a hat, basically.
I did, but then I was like, oh yeah, I know he was Superman, so we'll just stick with that.
Well, he did actually get to be Superman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies and in the Flash movie.
I didn't see those.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Let's see. So, in order to bulk up to be Superman, Christopher Reeve actually spent months working with David Prowse, the man in the Darth Vader costume, to bulk up.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, Gene Hackman was initially reluctant to shave his mustache for the role, but Richard Donner said that he would shave his own mustache off so that they could be even. Hackman went off to a trailer to shave and then came back and told Donner, "All right, your turn." And then Donner pulled off his fake mustache.
Nice. So it was fake the whole time?
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, Gene Hackman thought so too.
Nice, yeah.
Okay. Now, so like I said, Marlon Brando received a pretty huge salary for this movie, which, considering he's only in like the first few scenes, plus flashbacks as a sort of weird AI dad ghost, pretty significant. But given that it's Marlon Brando, it makes sense. He's coming off of The Godfather. Why wouldn't you try to get him?
Yeah, I'm sure he was a pretty pricey guy to get.
As well as Gene Hackman, Christopher Reeve asked him what his motivation was, and his response, "You mean besides the $2 million?"
Yeah, for real, yeah.
Which, again, these veteran actors may be stealing the spotlight from Christopher Reeve in a sense, not in that they're outshining him, but they're literally billed before him. But you get your money's worth from him.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so Marlon Brando actually hoped to use some of his salary for a 13-part Root-style miniseries on Native Americans in the United States, which never got released, which that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marlon Brando was famously a pretty big advocate for Native American rights. It was at the 1973 Academy Awards that he sent a Native American activist to accept his Academy Award on his behalf because he was ashamed of the treatment of Native Americans in the United States.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I don't remember that, but I remember seeing that.
Yep, Sachin Littlefeather.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Now, so this movie also had some trouble production. The there was a clash between the director and the producers over the film's tone. The producers wanted a more comedic movie, while Donner wanted to take it more seriously. Casting took a while, which we're going to get to with who else they considered. Reeve also didn't get along with Jack O'Halloran, who played Non. Marlon Brando was a pain in the ass, as he would do. Like I said, he didn't have the lines on Baby Kal-El. He had him on his diaper, which close enough.
Yeah, but yeah.
Also, he would refuse to get out of his trailer until he got a satisfactory breakfast, which led to a 16-year-old Carrie Elwes, who was working on the movie as an intern, being given the job of finding out what he liked to eat and where to get it from. So that's kind of interesting.
That's kind of funny.
Also, special effects problems, money problems, all sorts of things. Which, to be honest, for this movie, the effects don't look great, but you also got to remember this is made in the 70s. They're doing the best they can.
Yeah, I'd say it's not that bad for the time.
Plus, it looks a whole lot better than the effects in Superman 4. That was just booty butt cheeks.
I will agree with you.
Okay, so other actors who were considered for the role of Superman. Patrick Wayne, the son of John Wayne, was cast as Clark Kent before Reeve was, but he dropped out when his father became diagnosed with stomach cancer.
Yeah.
Also, also considered were Robert Redford, Clint Eastwood, Warren Beatty, and James Caan. Perry King, James Brolin, and Lyle Waggoner screen tested for it. Also considered were Al Pacino, Burt Reynolds, Charles Bronson, Jon Voight, Chris Christopherson, Nick Nolte, Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, Sylvester Stallone, Christopher Walken, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's a lot.
Yeah, we're just basically looking at anyone who's big in the 70s for this role. Now, some of these did go on to play other characters in DC products. Sylvester Stallone was King Shark in The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, who is doing the new Superman movie. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I guess so.
Walken and Schwarzenegger would play Max Schreck and Victor Fries in Batman Returns and Batman and Robin, respectively. So that's neat.
Yeah.
Now, for the role of Lois Lane, there was Carrie Fisher, Stockard Channing, Leslie Ann Warren, Deborah Raffin, Susan Blakely, and Ann Archer, who all auditioned for it before Margot Kidder got it. Gene Wilder, Dustin Hoffman, George Kennedy, and Jack Nicholson were considered for the role of Lex Luthor before Gene Hackman got it. Nicholson, of course, would play the Joker in Batman '89. Interestingly, okay, these would have been great castings too. Orson Welles or Charlton Heston were considered for the role of Jor-El before Marlon Brando got it.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Let's see. John Hurt, Christopher Lee, and Christopher Plummer were considered for the role of General Zod before Terrence Stamp got it. Oh, Christopher Lee as Zod. That would have been awesome.
That would be pretty cool.
Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were approached to direct the movie before Richard Donner was hired. Spielberg declined due to disagreements over salary and previous commitments to other projects after Jaws was a success. And Lucas turned it down because of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola, William Friedkin, John Gillerman, Norman Jewison, Peter Yates, Mark Robson, Robert Aldrich, and Sam Peckinpah were also considered before Donner was hired. And Sam Peckinpah was turned down because he pulled a gun on the producers in the meeting.
Wow, that's wild.
Initially, Donner asked Jerry Goldsmith to do the score, but scheduling conflict came about, and John Williams got the role, which I think we can all agree was for the best. I love Jerry Goldsmith. He was an incredible composer, but this is one of John Williams' best scores.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of John Williams, so I'll have to agree.
That's more or less all I have to say on the original Superman. I feel like it's a good enough movie. To me, it's not the greatest superhero movie of all time, but it is one that I definitely appreciate and respect.
Yep. It's all right. Yeah.
Next, we have 2013's Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder. A different take on Superman, but still one I feel like is faithful to his character. Let's get into it.
All right, let's watch it.
So, in 2013, to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Superman, Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers released Man of Steel, a soft reboot of not soft reboot, but a whole reboot of the Superman movie series, and what would be the first entry in what would become known as the DC Extended Universe, or DCEU. So let's start with our general thoughts on the movie. What did you think of it?
Okay. Well, general thoughts, generally, and keep in mind, I am not a Superman fan. This had no interest to me whatsoever. So if you keep that in mind, that this movie was not made for me, I thought it was boring. I'm sorry.
You just don't like Superman, man.
I told you this movie's not made for me. I'm not a Superman fan. It's not for me.
All right. Well, how did you like it in comparison to Superman the movie?
Well, it was definitely different. I think some things did go into more detail, but I don't know. I may have preferred the classic one.
Me personally, this is my favorite Superman movie. This came out at a time when I was, still figuring things out about myself. I was going through some personal problems. I just graduated high school, and I was months away from going off to boot camp for the Army. So this was definitely something that I think when I was in that mindset that I was in, it's just really helped me to I don't know, persevere, I guess.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it helped you. That makes me feel better. That makes me like this movie a little bit more.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
So some of the general story is the same as the 1978 version. Jor-El finds out that the planet Krypton is about to explode, so he decides to send his son, Kal-El, off to Earth, where hopefully he'll be able to help the people of Earth, with their struggles and problems. And Lord knows we need a Superman on our world. But things are a little bit different. For one, the main threat becomes General Zod after he's freed from the Phantom Zone, and he comes to Earth after after they find a signal from the ship that Superman finds in the Arctic, and they're trying to go to Earth and try to convince Clark to join up with them so that they can terraform Earth to make it a new Krypton. Honestly, I like this plot. It's very interesting, very intriguing, and very in keeping with Zod's character in this movie.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more happening this time around.
Yeah, and I feel like it does some things better than the 1978 version, and I think it does some things worse. But before we get into that, let's get into our main players. So, Henry Cavill plays Clark Kent, Kal-El, as a brand new Superman. He's had his powers all his life, and he's trying to figure out how to best use them. It's literally his first week on the job, so he does make some mistakes, as people have, kind of unfairly criticized him for. They're taking this Superman as one that would have been doing this thing for years, and they're just really expecting too much from him. When again, this Superman just got a suit. Is his first week saving people, and fighting against superpower beings. So yes, he's going to make some mistakes. There's going to be some collateral damage. That's the point of the movie.
Yeah, like, come on, guys. It's just his first day at work. He's got to get used to everything, yeah.
This becomes a plot point later on with the sequel, Batman v Superman, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, not there yet.
Amy Adams plays Lois Lane, and this is one of the things that I prefer from the 1978 version. The chemistry between Clark and Lois in that was definitely better. Here, I do like that Lois finds out that Superman and Clark Kent are the same guy pretty quickly. She's very, very capable in this movie, but I don't really believe their relationship, like their romantic relationship immediately. Like, yeah, these are two attractive people, so why wouldn't they want to bone? But I really don't buy it as well as I did the other one.
Yes, I'm going to have to agree with you. This new one with Amy Adams, it's just, yeah, it's not quite as believable, and I do think there's some lacking in the chemistry department.
And I love Amy Adams. She is one of my favorite actresses. So this was unfortunate to see.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Michael Shannon plays General Zod instead of Terrence Stamp from last time around, which makes sense. Terrence Stamp would have been in his 70s, so probably not the best choice.
That would have been an old guy.
Very. But I feel like Michael Shannon was... I'm not going to say a better choice, because that's completely subjective. But I feel like his Zod is a better, more rounded character than Terrence Stamp's was. Terrence Stamp's Zod was entertaining. He was bombastic. He was larger than life. But he didn't really have much of a purpose to him outside of getting revenge on Jor-El and his family. This Zod, now on Krypton, every person on the planet was genetically bred to fulfill a certain role in their society. Zod here was bred to be the defender of the planet. He's the leader of its militaries. So his job, the thing that he was genetically created to fulfill, is to protect and if necessary, restore Krypton. And that is what he's trying to do. He's trying to do the thing that he was made for. And this is all he really knows. This is literally all he knows, is to try to bring back Krypton. And when Clark doesn't want to let him do that because it'll destroy Earth, that pisses him off really fierce.
Yeah, it sure does. It makes him very mad.
You know, I like this characterization of Zod. He's not a completely evil monster. He has some humanity to him. He has some depth to him. I like this. This is a great character.
Yeah, he definitely gets, some sympathy.
Diane Lane and Kevin Costner play Ma and Pa Kent, the farmers who find Kal-El when he crash lands on Earth. We don't get to see them find Clark in this time, but we don't need to see that. It's like seeing Batman's parents get shot or seeing Uncle Ben get shot. Just some things you don't necessarily need to see every single time.
Yeah, you're right.
But that said, Diane Lane, no complaints there as Ma Kent. She's fantastic. In the sequel, Batman v Superman, she does get a little bit of flack for telling Clark that he doesn't owe the people of Earth really anything. But people kind of miss the fact that she says that be their hero or be none of it. It's his choice to do that. So I feel like that's important, that Clark becomes Superman because he wants to, not because he feels like he needs to.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, Jonathan Kent, on the other hand, I can agree with some of the criticism levied his way. When after Clark saves the bus full of kids, and he asks his dad if he should have let them die, Jonathan says, maybe. No, that's not the right thing to say there, buddy. That's not right.
Yeah. I mean, for one thing, yeah, it's really bad to say maybe you shouldn't have saved all those children. And on the other thing, yeah, it's just like I feel like it's very discouraging towards Clark as well. So yeah, I feel like, I mean, like I said, I don't know much about Superman, but I feel like that was maybe a little out of character.
That was very out of character. The Kents are part of what made Superman. People argue the whole nurture versus nature thing all you want, and to an extent it's a bit of both here with Clark. Like, I feel like he was a fundamentally good person, but at the same time it was Martha and Jonathan Kent's raising of him and the way they did it that really made him want to help people. It really instilled in him the hardworking ethic that you would get from people of their nature. Simple Midwestern farmers who are used to helping their neighbor out and working hard for what they have. And to some extent, we do get that with Jonathan, but he has lines like that where I feel like they kind of missed the mark at times with him. You can argue that he was kind of confused on what to say to Clark, because what do you say to what do you say to a kid who saves an entire bus from a river? I don't know. Like, so maybe he was trying to figure out the right words, but still he said the wrong ones. And it would have been better if instead of saying maybe, he said something like, I'm not, like when Clark says that, as if he should have just let them die, Jonathan probably should have said something like, it's not that you did the wrong thing, you just have to be careful, or something along those lines, because he goes into something about Clark needing to hide who he is from the world at the time, so that could have fit in real nicely.
Yeah, you're right. That was definitely a big problem.
There was also the whole tornado scene, which Jonathan should have just let Clark save the dog anyways, and they wouldn't have been in that problem. All right, and he should have let him save him, but in his mind, he was doing a noble thing by keeping Clark's secret. I guess. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, I can understand this scene better than the school bus one, for sure.
But we do get a scene where he actually does do some pretty decent parenting and is closer to his comic counterpart when, after Clark was getting bullied out at that repair shop, Jonathan asks him if he's all right. Never mind the fact that he's invincible. He's not asking about if he's okay physically. He's asking if he's okay, as in are are you okay?
Yeah, like mentally, yes.
And he even says that part of him wanted Clark to hit those bullies, but it wouldn't have really solved anything. And it's now that Clark has to figure out who he's going to be. That was a good scene. I like that with Jonathan.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
But let's move on. I already got through most of my complaints with Jonathan Kent, so it's fine.
Yeah, move on.
Russell Crowe and Ayla Zur play Jor-El and Laura Van, Clark's Kryptonian parents. Ayla Zur doesn't get to do too much, but through her limited screen time, we get to see that she did care and love for Clark right after he was born. She didn't want to give him up at all, but had to save his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love Russell Crowe in this movie. He is just he was a great choice to play Jor-El. He's tough. He's warm. He's accepting, and well, he could throw down with Zod.
Yeah, he sure can.
We also get an AI version of him through the command key that Clark has. It's kind of sort of like he's talking to his dad, but close enough. It's kind of like what they did with Marlon Brando's hologram in the original movie. So, yeah, no complaints there. It's just a more sophisticated version of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a little weird if you think about it, but whatever. It's a comic book movie, so.
Yeah, some things are just going to be a bit weird no matter what. Antje Trau plays Feora, Zod's right-hand woman, and she's pretty cool, honestly. She gets a lot of really awesome fights. She gets to beat up Clark a few times, who gives it as good as he gets, and she's just a really cool dragon for him.
Yeah, pretty cool. No complaints.
Yeah, she even gets to show up again with Michael Shannon in the Flash movie as Feora. She doesn't get to do a whole lot there, but still cool to see her again.
Sure, yeah.
Harry Lennox plays General Swanwick, the general in charge of, really, I guess, Earth's defense against the Kryptonian threat. Now, it wasn't planned at the time, but later on, Swanwick would be revealed to be actually Martian Manhunter in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I assume Zack Snyder saw that theory online and said, "Yeah, that's cool. Let's do it."
All right. Yeah, pretty cool.
It is a good plan.
Yeah, it is.
Richard Schiff plays Dr. Emil Hamilton, a scientist friend of Clark's in the comics. He doesn't get the biggest role here, but he's decent enough. He helps him out with sending the Kryptonians back to the Phantom Zone. Christopher Maloney plays Colonel Hardy, an Air Force colonel who's General Swanwick's right-hand man. Decent enough character. Pretty cool, actually. I like this character a lot, too.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
He's one of the first military members to realize that Clark isn't their enemy and that they should probably be working with him, not against him. So it's nice to see how he has a little bit of a character arc throughout the movie, because the first time we see him, he's kind of a prick to Lois, but eventually he comes around to working with him.
Yeah, a nice character arc.
Lawrence Fishburne plays Perry White. No complaints there. Honestly, Lawrence Fishburne is a great actor. I like seeing him in this movie, and the usual complaints on the internet that you see when a white character in something gets changed to a black guy, I don't think we're there at all.
No, it definitely doesn't seem like it. Yeah, he was no complaints.
And that's about it for all our players. I will say this though, there was a cameo from the original 1978 movie. Aaron Smolinski, who played the baby version of Clark Kent in Superman the movie, appeared here as a communications officer in some of the military scenes, so that's neat.
That's kind of funny, yeah.
And yeah, so Man of Steel. At the time, it got lots of criticism for the destruction that we saw in Metropolis and Smallville, for the portrayal of Jonathan Kent, among other things. Now, we went over those two, and we've made our positions pretty clear. But another thing that I got some flack for was Superman killing Zod in the end. To which I gotta say, have you guys not seen Superman 2? He killed Zod there, too.
I think... Have I seen Superman 2?
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. But, yeah, okay.
And the circumstances there were arguably worse than they were in this movie. Like, in this movie, Zod is threatening to kill a family at Union Station with his heat vision. He's moving his eyes closer to him, and then Superman has to snap his neck. So, okay, this is perfectly fine. Zod is threatening to kill this family. He's made it perfectly clear that he will kill every single person on Earth if he has to. Or he doesn't even have to at this point. He's just doing it to spite Clark. And he's made it clear that he will not stop until one of them is dead. So, Superman takes him out. There's no problem here, I think.
Yeah, I made a funny joke, but Tyler kept talking. Zod was holding the family at eye point.
Okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you were talking, so it's okay.
Anyways, I think it's perfectly reasonable for him to kill Zod in this circumstances.
Yeah, me too, because it's very clear that this family is going to die by laser eyes, or Superman just kills Zod. So
now in Superman 2, Superman tricks Zod into getting his powers taken away, and then he throws him down a pit. Like, Zod is depowered. You could just arrest him and take him away. You can't do that in this situation. The Phantom Zone is closed. And even still, I'm not sure how they will reopen it. So, how are you going to imprison Zod? You can't do it. They don't have kryptonite yet. They don't really have anything that can, hold Zod. You just got to do it. It's unfortunate, but these things happen.
Yeah, got to do it.
Plus, Superman has killed Zod in the comics before. There was a version of Zod that Superman met in an alternate dimension that had killed everyone on Earth. So he exposed Zod, Feora, and what I'm assuming was Non or something to green kryptonite, which killed them. That's perfectly reasonable, I think.
Yeah, sure.
And people were also saying that Superman doesn't kill. No, he does occasionally. He doesn't have a no-kill rule like Batman does. He just generally doesn't do it. Like that, something that Superman himself even said.
Yeah. He saves it for when he for really has to.
Yeah, Superman isn't afraid to do it. He doesn't like to, but he's perfectly willing to if the situation calls for it. You got to think this guy's a Midwestern farm boy. I'm sure he's killed a few farm animals in his time, and I'm sure if he's had to, he would have killed a coyote. Well, who wouldn't? Coyotes suck.
Okay, yeah.
And again, circumstances at the time, and we see he doesn't like that he had to do it. He breaks down and cries after he does it. This was not an easy decision for him to make.
Yeah. Yeah. Like putting down, a farm animal that you just have to, it's if you want to relate back to the farm boy thing.
Yeah, just it's like killing a rabid dog or something.
Yeah.
Another criticism was that the movie's color palette was a bit too drab. I didn't really mind, honestly.
Yeah, it might be a little dull, a little boring on the color spectrum.
Maybe so, but the cinematography was still fantastic.
Sure, yeah.
Now, what are some things that this movie did better than the original? Well, the opening scene on Krypton was, I think, handled better here. Now, granted, the 1978 movie did not have quite the budget that this movie had, and it was also made over 30 years before it. So, yes, they're going to be very, very limited. But I still like that there's a lot more going on this Krypton. There's whole ecosystems and whole just vibrant life going on in the background. It's not just white walls, sterile backgrounds and stuff. Like, it's kind of weak, guys.
Yeah, it does look a lot more interesting. And that scene is a lot more engaging, I think, to me.
It's a lot more engaging. There's a lot more going on. And really, I just like seeing it more. And it feels a lot more faster paced than the original, where it felt like it took forever to get off Krypton.
Yeah, it did.
Now, it probably took around the same amount of time, but I feel like this was paced a bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was.
The music. Don't get me wrong. I love John Williams. I love his Superman theme. And I feel like it's definitely a more iconic piece of music. But Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel theme was much more bombastic, much more exciting, much more fun to listen to. Like, this is great stuff.
Well, on the other hand, I do not know the Hans Zimmer one from memory, but I do recognize the John Williams one.
Well, like I said, the John Williams theme is more iconic. I will give it that. And if someone told me that they do prefer that one to the Hans Zimmer theme, I probably wouldn't argue that with them.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see. I can't say that the effects are better in this one than they are in the 78 version, because that's a no-duh, you know. I would hope that it would be better than a movie from 30 years prior. So that's just a gimme at that point.
Yeah, you would hope that would be the case.
And I just prefer the story in this one as opposed to the one from the 1978 version, which may also be why I prefer Superman 2 to Superman the movie, because it has a similar story to this movie, just a bit less compelling, but a bit more fun in places.
It definitely had a lot more going for it. And the story was, maybe a little bit more deeper, a little bit more thought out.
Yeah, I feel like this Superman is definitely one that could exist on our world. You know, one that is going through more realistic struggles and problems that a normal person would go through. He's going through self-doubt. He's trying to figure out his place in the world. Now, there were some inklings of that in the 78 version, but I feel like this one focused on it a bit more, especially with his childhood, where his senses would flare up and he would just not know what's going on, and he would need his mom to help him focus on what's important so that he doesn't get overwhelmed by everything. I feel like scenes like that really help.
Yes, they definitely do. They add a lot to, the character development and the overall story.
Yes, they do. Now let's get into some trivia about this because we're kind of deep in it.
Yes, please. I'm about to fall asleep. I'm tired tonight.
All right, so Dan Jurgens, who wrote and drew several Superman comics, has said that Zod's death was handled better than in the comics. So there's one guy who approves.
Yeah, he sure does.
Let's see. So Smallville was in the comics is in Kansas, but they did not film in Kansas at all. They filmed in Plano, Illinois, which is actually close to where my parents live.
That's kind of funny.
And Chicago stands in for Metropolis, of course. There's a city in Illinois named Metropolis, but it doesn't look anything like Metropolis would.
Much smaller. I've been there, yeah.
Very much so. But yeah, like I said, Clark kills Zod at Union Station, which I recognize it because of the stairway from The Untouchables, which had also Kevin Costner in it.
Kind of funny.
Also, I've just been there.
I have to, yeah.
Okay. Man of Steel is Henry Cavill's favorite out of all the movies where he played Superman, which was 4 or 5, depending on how you count Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Separate, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so you got this, Batman v Superman, both Justice Leagues, and Black Adam.
Okay, yeah.
So some comic writers didn't like Superman killing Zod. Mark Waid, the writer of Superman Birthright and Kingdom Come, nearly walked out of the theater. Dork.
Yeah, you don't have to be that dramatic, guy.
I say that, but I love both of those comics.
All right.
You can be a fan of someone's work and also disagree with them on things. That's okay.
Well, yes, yeah.
Mark Millar, the writer of Superman Red Son, said the film was traumatizing and okay, that's a bit harsh.
Sounds like a guy who just, can't deal with other people's interpretations of things.
Grant Morrison wasn't too happy about it either. They had some strong feelings about it, but they also weren't as upset about Millar or Waid.
Okay, yeah.
Ilyas Salkind, who produced the first 3 Christopher Reeve Superman movies, said that it wasn't as fun and too dark and more like a Batman movie than a Superman movie. Well, you made this Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Of course, that's going to be he's going to have some disagreements there.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill worked out and dyed his hair black for the role and refused to take any steroids or digital enhancements for his body in the shirtless scenes because he thought it would be dishonest.
That sounds like a Superman thing to do, yeah.
Good man. He's an absolute unit in this movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Amy Adams was prepared to dye her hair black to play Lois, but Zack Snyder preferred to leave her as a redhead.
I thought she was a redhead in the comics.
No, she has black hair in the comics.
Okay, well, I wouldn't know that.
You're thinking of Lana Lang, Superman's love interest in Smallville.
Okay, maybe I am. Yeah, okay.
Which, in this movie, Lana does have black hair, so it's like they switched.
Yeah, they just switched. It's okay.
Henry Cavill is the first non-American to play the American race Superman. He's British.
Yeah, I guess that's okay.
Superman's not American anyways. He's from space.
That is true, yes.
Okay. So the movie, as I said, was released the 75th anniversary of Superman, but it was also the same month, June of 2013.
All right.
The first Superman comic was released June in 1938.
Okay.
Okay, so Superman was uh was a role that Henry Cavill had previously auditioned for. He auditioned for J.J. Abrams' Superman Flyby. That ended up being canceled, and he also auditioned for the role for Superman Returns, which got given to Brandon Routh. Um, this he had been auditioning for and almost getting a whole bunch of other parts in the past, such as Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. He lost that to Robert Pattinson. Of Edward in Twilight, he also lost that to Robert Pattinson. So also James Bond in Casino Royale, who he lost to Daniel Craig. So the man has he didn't have the best luck getting roles in the past, but he finally got this one. And funny thing, he was playing a game of World of Warcraft when he got the phone call from Zack Snyder saying that he got the role, and he almost missed it because of that.
That's funny. Yeah.
Let's see. So, multiple other people were considered for these roles. Of course, this is the nature of comic book movies at this point. You just gotta expect these sorts of things. So for the role of Superman, Matt Bomer was approached for it. He had actually played him before in the animated movie Superman Unbound, and would later play Negative Man on the DC show Doom Patrol.
All right. Yeah.
Matt Bomer is, of course, he looks a lot like Henry Cavill, as you see here.
Yeah, they do look pretty similar.
Joe Manganiello also had discussions for the role, but because of True Blood, he had to back out. Manganiello would later play Deathstroke in Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Jamie Dornan, David Gintoli, and Tyler Hoechlin also auditioned for the role. Hoechlin would actually play Superman on Supergirl and Superman and Lois. And Gintoli's wife, Elizabeth Tulloch, would play Lois Lane opposite Hoechlin. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
Colin O'Donoghue, Matthew Good, Armie Hammer, and Zac Efron were also considered for the role.
Interesting, yeah.
Zoe Saldana was a runner-up for Lois Lane before Amy Adams was cast. Could have been interesting.
Yeah.
Also screen tested were Adam Seyfried, Rachel McAdams, Diana Agron, Kristen Stewart, Jessica Biel, and Malin Ackerman. Ackerman, of course, previously worked with Zack Snyder on Watchmen as Silk Spectre 2.
All right.
Okay, for the role of General Zod, these are some interesting ones. Daniel Day-Lewis, Viggo Mortensen, and Edgar Ramirez were considered. Just imagine Daniel Day-Lewis as Zod. I don't think he would have done it because this is not the kind of role that Daniel Day-Lewis would do, but it would have been really cool.
Oh, yeah, that would have been cool.
He's going to drink Superman's milkshake and beat him with a bowling ball pin.
He might have, yeah.
Gal Gadot was approached for the role of Faora, but she had to turn it down due to her pregnancy at the time. Gadot, of course, would go on to play Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman and beyond.
Yes, she did do that.
Ben Affleck was offered to direct the role before Zack Snyder was hired, but he didn't like the script, so he said no. Affleck previously portrayed George Reeves in the movie Hollywoodland. George Reeves played Superman on the 1950s TV show, and he would also play Batman in the next movie.
Kind of funny how that worked out.
Robert Zemeckis and Guillermo del Toro were also approached to direct it. Del Toro turned down the offer in order to helm a film adaptation of At the Mountains of Madness, which would later be shelved because that's just the nature of Del Toro's work sometimes. Half of the things that he announces are things that never happen.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Darren Aronofsky, Duncan Jones, Tony Scott, Jonathan Liebesman, and Matt Reeves were also considered to direct. Reeves, of course, would go on to do The Batman.
Okay, yeah.
Mark Millar and Matthew Vaughn wanted to do a 3-movie, 8-hour epic that detailed Superman's entire life, with Charlie Cox of Daredevil in mind for the part. That would have been interesting.
Very cool, yeah.
Also, initially, the original ending was supposed to have Zod being sucked back into the Phantom Zone with his men, but they decided to kill him instead. Christopher Nolan, the producer and one of the writers on this movie, was against it, but David S. Goyer convinced him otherwise.
All right, yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah. So overall, this to me is not the perfect Superman movie. Like I said, I do have my own problems with it, but it's my favorite so far. Uh, I'm looking forward to James Gunn's Superman movie. I hope it's a good time. Uh, I don't really put much stock in the whole Zack Snyder versus James Gunn thing. Like, why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be both? Now, if you actually don't like one of them, that's fine. You know, we all have our own opinions, but I just like them both.
That's good. I'm glad you like them both. That means you'll probably be happier.
Yeah, you would think. But I also used to like all of the Star Wars movies before I realized I was wrong.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. But looking forward to James Gunn's Superman movie, and looking forward to what David Cornswet does as Superman. I have a good feeling about him. He seems like a good fit. What I would have liked to have Henry Cavill back. Yeah, I would have, but oh well.
Yeah. Oh well.
I have faith in these guys. I think they're going to do a good job.
Yep. I guess we'll see about that.
We will. Till then, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.